The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is August 7th, 2019. This is episode 151, The Blind Will See, and Tales for All. My name's Basil.
And my name is Gonzo.
Welcome to the podcast where you get prophetic news with Canary Cry views.
And Gonzo loves tambourines.
Woo!
Yeah,
I love tambourines.
If you missed it, if you don't get our Canary Cry conversations on the Canary Cry Radio Patreon, you missed out on a wonderful discovery I made. Actually, but I didn't make it. Tyler sent it or posted it on the Canary Cry community on Facebook. Go check it out. Become a part of the community. And there is an Asia's Got Talent star, a worldwide sensation, Gonzo. And Gonzo, you love tambourines.
Yeah. Apparently, they took a clone of me, gave him more food, and world-class tambourine skills.
World-class tambourine player, Gonzo Shimura.
No.
Just Google Gonzo loves tambourines.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay. But we already did a whole show on that. So we're going to move on here, Gons, to the Flippy Update, baby.
Flippy Update.
Do you want fries with that?
All right. We're talking from Engadget.com. A mind-controlled robot arm doesn't have to mean brain implants. This is such good news, Gons.
Yeah, I'm glad that they don't have to microchip our brains or
They don't have to get the microchip to
Yeah.
control the robot. A robotic arm smoothly traces the movements of a cursor on a computer screen, controlled by the brain activity of a person sitting close by who stares straight ahead. The person wears a cap covered in electrodes. This mind-controlled, in quotes for some reason, this mind-controlled robot limb is being manipulated by a brain-computer interface, which provides a direct link between the neural information of a brain that's wired to an electroencephalography device and an external object. I had never said that word before, and thank you. That was very good.
It's the EEG machine for anyone wondering.
Yeah, that's if you want to take the easy way out.
Yeah.
This cutting-edge research is being spearheaded by scientists at Carnegie Mellon University. Down the line, this work might lead to technology that could make day-to-day life easier for people who suffer from paralysis or who live with movement disorders. The project is significant because BCIs, that's the brain-computer interfaces, that operate robotic devices like this typically use signals from brain implants. Lead researcher Bin He, department head of biomedical engineering at Carnegie Mellon University, and constant reference on Canary Cry News Talk, told Engadget this is the first time a non-invasive BCI has successfully directed a robotic arm to track a cursor in a smooth, continuous movement. The article is very long and has many, many details, but the thing we need to know here is good news. We don't have to get implants to control our robotic avatars.
Well, they've figured out how to mind control us, so now it's our turn to mind control them.
Or is the robot arm controlling our brains?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But this is a cool development, but also, one step closer to the dystopic future where none of us have to actually move our physical bodies. But at least we get out of having brain surgery with this.
I guess. I want to know the lag time. I wonder if lag time is decreased by actual physical, like Neuralink type of fibers, all embedded in the brain.
Check your lag, bro. I don't know. They got a video. It looks fine.
Yeah.
It looks fine. I mean, it looks graceful and fine. They got to find a more stylish helmet, though, for this thing. But there you go. We get to control robots with our minds, and we don't need chips in our heads. So
Well,
this is
so
actually
they tell us.
an improvement upon the past expectations that we've had.
Yeah, but also, doing this can probably start tracking and, taking down all the data from your brain, which I don't know if you're down with that.
I mean, look, Gons, you can't have your cake and eat it too, buddy. Either you control a robot with your brain and share all your deepest thoughts and desires with Google and Mark Zuckerberg, or you don't get to control the robotic avatar. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
I'm not ready.
Are you
Choose.
ready to become cyborg?
This guy chose already. RT,
Yeah.
Russian trolls. Transhumanist, Russian student who lost sight after explosion developing bionic eyes for himself.
Mm.
He sleeps
This
2
is
hours.
impressive.
Yeah, he sleeps 2 hours a night, plays guitar with a custom prosthesis, and has illegally implanted a microchip. When
Dun, dun, dun.
Evgeny, what do you think? Evgeny?
I don't know. Evgeny, I think sounds right.
Evgeny Nekrasov was disfigured by an accident at 14. He decided to leverage future technology to build a new life. Evgeny, now 21, has no recollection of messing around after school with his friends in hometown Vladivostok and picking up a gas container that exploded in his hands and into his face.
Oh, wow.
But the days after he woke up without sight in hospital are hard-coded in his memory. Quote, my hands were crushed into a mush. Still on life support, I started to feel around with my feet and discovered there was no right wrist. The doctor told me straight, it was blown off. He told Yandex in an interview, quote, this is how my less ordinary life began. And it keeps going here. Evgeny says he was never despondent, finding support in his family and inspiration in the lives of others who overcame debilitating conditions like Stephen Hawking, despite having to go through separate corrective surgeries in 3 cities across Russia. The boy who once hated math and argued often with his teachers became obsessed with learning and technology. Sent to a special school for those with vision loss outside his city, Evgeny completed a 4-year program in 6 months despite being unable to learn Braille, as the fire-damaged fingertips on his remaining hand lack the sensitivity to scan the page. An epiphany came when he witnessed a partially sighted teacher expertly operate a computer with voice commands alone. Quote, I knew that I had to bend hardware to my will so that it would be at my service, he said. I will not die a blind man. Evgeny learned how to code, dictating command from memory, picturing whose pages... Oh my gosh. Hold on.
Gotta make the font bigger.
Font bigger. RT
Come on,
font's
Grandpa.
pretty small. Yeah, okay. Now I lost my spot. He
I will
learned how
not
to
die a
code,
blind
dictating
man.
commands from memory, picturing whole pages in his mind, not to earn money, but make the world around him easier to navigate. First came the custom software for internet browsing, then a hacked gesture response smartphone with fast text-to-speech software, then more ambition, a high-level neutral network developed with the help of a lab at Vladivostok's Far Eastern Federal University, where
That
he
has
is...
to be a typo. It has to be a neural network.
It's got to be neural network, right? Yeah, that's what I thought too. Where he is a second-year student that may allow him better control of his expensive bionic arms. And the Grail new eyes that would allow him to see again. Existing bionic eye models, such as the $150,000 Argus 2, work by deciphering images through a camera and sending them to a retinal implant. Evgeny is dreaming of a device that will directly respond to photons as a real replacement of the complex work of an eye. Quote, I do not plan to live out my life without sight, he says. Not surprisingly, he wants to be the first person with limited vision to go to space and is currently involved in several orbital payload projects. Oh, he's like already in it, man.
Yeah.
They're really sticking him in there. Evgeny does not pretend that he fits in perfectly, and not just because of his devotion to the niche California heavy metal band Avenged Sevenfold from Huntington Beach, California. That's right around my neck of the woods. I remember them. They're a huge band. Huge band. Drummer passed away, all that stuff. He was initially viewed with suspicion by his peers in college, who thought that he might get an easy ride from professors, though he says he spends 3 to 4 more times than them deciphering the recorded lectures at home. Evgeny says he is helped by another peculiarity. He believes that the accident tampered with his brain's biorhythms, and now he struggles to sleep for more than 2 hours at a time, 4 hours each night at the most, without feeling drained. Unsurprisingly, another of his heroes, Apple founder Steve Jobs, is Apple founder Steve Jobs because he did not care what people thought of him. And goes on and talks about how he implanted a chip between his thumb and index finger, and actually it was illegal in Russia. I wonder if they're like letting him do it just because he's like suffered enough in life, and they're like, just let him do the thing, and then we'll put him in space, and he's the perfect.
I mean,
subject.
he's hashing up to be quite the either superhero or supervillain here.
Yeah.
But it's pretty interesting. They don't talk about how old he is now, but they do have a picture of him, and he looks like he's got to be at least 20.
Well, yeah, he's probably in his 20s, maybe not in his 30s, or maybe
20
right
something.
about there.
Yeah.
Let me just finish up here with his quote here. I like the idea about AI and where it might go next. It's not my own that AI will outgrow human intelligence so quickly within several generations that we will be so unimportant to it, it will stop noticing us. We will be to it like ants are to us. We will live our separate lives and not get in each other's way. So no, I don't think AI will be interested in taking over the world. Although, ironically, wouldn't that be technically AI taking over the world if if it's so much more intelligent than us that it doesn't even care about us?
Well, if it doesn't take the wheel, then it's not taking over. But long story short, this kid is going full cyborg.
Full cyborg.
And if we're talking, of course, cyborgism is sort of promoted for people just like him, who have some disabilities and need to move past those. And turns out this kid is pretty smart. And I mean, who knows? Maybe he's the one. The fact that he's Russian makes him lean towards supervillain status. But
the way it's been presented, the way the Russian sort of mafia and all that stuff has been presented to us, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
The bad guy, all those Bond movies.
Yeah.
There's a comment down here too. I thought it was pretty funny. Actually, not funny. It's actually, it says, "You are a hero. Finally, someone with a passion for life. I wish I could be a genius pioneer for science. This kid is almost like a superhero from a comic book to me." So,
yeah.
I mean, he's influencing a whole generation of kids probably that are like,
yeah, that's
wow.
It's inspiring. And if he can build himself some new bionic eyes for cheaper than the existing ones, he'll be unstoppable.
Yep.
I don't have a picture of him having a bionic hand, though. He did lose a hand.
Yeah, I don't know. We didn't really dig around too much. I'm sure there's stuff out there if you look.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look at that. But there you go. So we're going to keep an eye on this fella because he might be the end of us all.
Yeah.
Or he might be, the Steve Jobs who gives us all the robotic limbs that we all desire.
Yep.
Speaking of robotic limbs, Gons.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
This is sure to excite at least a small percentage of our listeners. This is Gizmodo.com. A wearable robotic tail turns anyone into a furry with improved balance. Now, Gons, you had asked me what a furry is.
Yeah, what's a furry?
Yeah. So I'll explain to you and the rest of our listeners who may not know. Furries are individuals who feel more at home in their own skin when they are wearing like a giant animal costume.
Yeah. Are these people who have mental disorders, or is it just...
Well, be careful now. There are definitely more of them than you think.
Okay, so
statistically, there is a number of furries who listen to this show.
Oh.
And I'm just going by statistics there. If you are a furry, go ahead and send me an email. I'd be very interested to know everything. And so, so they are people who dress up like animals in sort of the outsiders, because I have had the privilege of talking to some furries. The outsiders sort of, I don't know, idea of what this is that it's like, well, it obviously has to be like
just
sexual,
for fun. Oh,
some
sexual
sort of
too. Yeah,
sexual
okay.
thing.
Yeah, sure.
But I am told that it is not always and possibly rarely sexual. They just like wearing the costumes, and they get together and do whatever. I don't know what they do. Tell me what you do.
Well, is this kind of like a daily? I'm devoted to dressing up as an animal wherever I go.
As far as I know, it's mainly events, and
okay,
of course, Gons. Of course, like everything, it's a spectrum. There's a spectrum of furriness.
Right. Okay.
So some people go full furry with the full suit and the big animal head. Some people just like wear a tail or some ears or something.
So like anything, it's a hobby until you venture into the deep end, and then all of a sudden,
it's a hobby until it's not.
Yeah,
it's a hobby until it's a way of life.
Right.
So, anyways, here we go. Gizmodo. There are lots of companies who make wearable tails for humans, but they're usually for cosplay or other entertainment pursuits. Researchers at Keio University in Japan have created a wearable animal tail that promise. What did I say?
Animal.
Animated. Yes, wearable animated tail.
Wearable animal tail would be something a lot more natural.
Well, there's an argument to be made there, but
I guess you're right. Okay, sure, yeah.
That promises to genuinely augment the wearer's capabilities. Genuinely augment the wearer's capabilities, not just appearance, by improving their balance and agility. The easiest way to understand what inspired this creation is to watch a video of monkeys effortlessly leaping from tree to tree. Their tails not only serve as an additional limb for grasping branches, but also help them reposition their bodies mid-flight for a safe landing by shifting the monkey's center of balance as it moves. The arc tail, as it's been named, does essentially the same thing for humans, although leaping from the highest branch of a tree isn't recommended just yet. Oh, good one, Gizmodo. The tail could give humans the same level of agility as even a cat, but its design was actually copied from the dexterous but durable appendage you'd find on the end of a seahorse. It's assembled from a series of interconnected plastic vertebrae that can be customized for every wear by simply adding more segments or counterbalancing weights, depending on the size of the person wearing it. Inside the tail are a set of 4 artificial muscles powered by compressed air that contract and expand in different combinations to move and curl the tail in any direction. The current design is dependent on an external air compressor to generate enough pressure for the tail to actually move. But as research on artificial muscles continues to advance, eventually all that could be needed to power the appendage is a strong battery. The most immediate application for please tell me what the application for this is. The immediate application for the arc tail include assisting workers tasked with lifting or carrying heavy objects.
Yes.
Like an exoskeleton suit that enhances the capabilities of the wearer's muscles, the tail works like a counterbalance so that less force is required to lift something off the ground. But unlike an exoskeleton, the tail is far less complicated and easier to take on and off. The researchers who created the arc also believe it could be an effective way to add full body haptic feedback to persons exploring virtual worlds, altering their balance and momentum to mimic what their body is experiencing in the real world. That is actually, I think, the most realistic.
Wow. So it's like, it makes you feel more real in the VR world by wearing this tail, turning us into reptiles.
If you get knocked off your balance in a VR world, then you kind of feel it by this tail flailing around.
I think if we can figure out a way to do a demonstration, here's what I'm picturing, okay? You wearing this thing and us going out to like the beach, and we'll just, throw out a big pile of bricks, a bunch of people around, and you just start moving these giant bricks. And you're just wearing this tail, and just getting people reaction.
Really enjoy. I know a number of warehouse workers, and I am giddy with the thought of these warehouse workers having to strap on this robotic tail in the morning before going to work at the warehouse. I mean, maybe Amazon, you never know. Amazon could be your biggest customer there, Arctail.
We're really taking the Amazon concept to a next level.
Yes.
And we're going to get all our workers to be
speed up the productivity if you give your Amazon warehouse workers prehensile tails.
By the way, these tails, for just people listening, it looks like it really is kind of a heavy duty. It looks like vertebrae.
It looks very cool, actually.
It's not just like a monkey tail, like a string or something. It's actually very hardy looking and
it moves. It's
moves,
weird.
yeah.
It moves automatically, like depending if you're bending over, if you're picking something up, it'll like automatically move to shift the weight of your body. Very, very interesting.
What if you fall backwards, man? That thing what if it whips around the other direction? I don't know.
Dude, I'm watching a video right now of people carrying boxes with it.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little nervous. They're so strong. They're so strong and agile.
So we figured it out. This is how they moved the pyramids. It wasn't Nephilim or it wasn't dinosaurs. It was just people wearing these giant robotic tails.
I could see this being a fashion statement, though. I mean, it's pretty cool looking if you're into the, robot animal
reptilian
look.
thing.
Yeah, if you're into the reptilian look, this is for you. Some people are wearing it like higher up on their body, playing video games. That's very interesting.
Playing video games, that's a productive.
Yes, a productive use. You just got to buy your $6,000 prehensile tail for this fun game.
Oh, but that's the other thing we can make that would be fun is like, how they have all these guys that show up at basketball courts and they pretend like there's something they're not, and then they start, beating people. It would be funny if we got someone to do it with the reptile tail. A robot tail.
I think the cultural reference you're making is as narrow as me explaining furries.
Probably, but it's out there.
People going to basketball games and beating people up?
No. People going so there's a guy named Kyrie Irving is a player. He dressed up as an old man, went to a basketball court, and like people were like, who's this old man?
Oh, that's very funny. I did see that video.
Right. So that kind of thing, except robot reptilian tail.
Yeah, people just wearing the tails to the street ball game.
Well, the Raptors won the NBA Finals. They can really take it to the next level.
Yeah, this is very fun. So check it out. And hey, if anybody's looking for a prehensile tail for any reason, here you go.
Well, we're gonna connect the reptilian thing with space, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Reptilian.
This is BBC.com.
Ooh.
Tardigrades, water bears stuck on the moon after crash. And we got into it a little bit again on the Canary Cry conversations over on the Canary Cry radio Patreon.
This is very, very exciting to us.
Yeah, well, more to you. I'm kind of creeped out by the whole thing. But the moon might now be home to thousands of planet Earth's most indestructible animal. Woo! Tardigrades, often called water bears, are creatures under a millimeter long that can survive being heated to 150 degrees Celsius and frozen to almost absolute zero. They were traveling on an Israeli spacecraft that crash-landed on the moon in April. We're finding out about this now. And the co-founder of the organization that put them there thinks they're almost definitely still alive. The water bears had been dehydrated to place them in suspended animation and then encased in artificial amber. It's like Han Solo creatures up there on the moon.
Yeah, when he gets cryogenically frozen.
Yeah. Quote,
tardigrades.
We believe the chances of survival for the tardigrades are extremely high, Arch Mission Foundation boss Nova Spivak said. The Arch Mission Foundation keeps a backup of planet Earth, with human knowledge and the planet's biology stored and sent out to various solar locations in case of a life-ending event. The lunar library, sometimes resembling a DVD that contains a 30 million page archive of human history viewable under microscopes, as well as human DNA, was being carried on the Bearsheet robot lander. And alongside them were dehydrated tardigrades some in amber, and some stuck on tape.
Yeah, stuck on tape. That's so funny. And so this whole mission was the Israeli mission, and they had this ark. Again, with the Ark, very interesting. This Ark mission is very interesting. We'll talk more about that later, but we need to talk about the tardigrades, Gons. And for those who don't know what tardigrades or water bears are, they're these microscopic creatures that look like they're 8-legged, naked mole rats with a weird little mouth. And they are very impressive. If you don't know about tardigrades, you need to look them up. But the exciting part of this is that we now have thousands of alien bug creatures living on the moon. And Gons, if you remember, about 5 or 6 years ago, our moon episode, where we postulated that there were wormicorns on the moon.
I tried to tell you. It's chaos. It's a mess. I tried to tell you, but nobody wanted to listen. Do y'all hear me now?
Y'all hear me now? Wormicorns are real.
Are real.
And we called it, baby. We call it every time. So yeah, there you go. We got tardigrades. Now they were dehydrated, but for those who don't know, tardigrades can be completely dehydrated. Then their bodies replace the water in their cells with a special protein that basically turns them to glass. And then when they come in contact with water, baby, they come back to life and start crawling around.
Oh. It's like it's like those capsules, the sponge capsules when you were a kid. They're like little pills, but then you put them in water and then
they grow into dinosaurs or something.
Yes.
Yes.
Like that, but they're alive.
And we've already seen many studies that have found frozen water on the moon. There's also there's like 100 bags of human feces, theoretically, from the moon landings. And so, I mean, there's got to be some moisture up there that these little dudes can come in contact with and start colonizing the moon.
I didn't know that another name for them was moss piglets.
I never heard of that, but they do. Yes. So on the Canary Cry Conversations, I did some quick searching. Here's the good news, folks. For only $13 of your hard-earned money, you will be providing two podcasters with something like 30 tardigrades. You can buy tardigrades online, and lucky for us, there is a WikiHow on how to take care of your tardigrades, and it includes feeding them moss.
I feel like this story is turning into our Nephilim update. Are we going to buy a CRISPR kit too and start messing around?
Yeah, I should.
Make our own
tardigrade update, baby. Water bears.
Water bear army.
Water bears on the prowl. Yes, so this is very fun, and yes, long-term Canary Cry fans will remember the wormicorn, and it's real. It's real, and we called it.
Yeah, and it says here that if the tardigrades are on the moon, it's very unlikely they'll be able to spring back to life without being reintroduced to water, like you said. But it would theoretically be possible for the tardigrades to be collected, brought back to Earth, reanimated, and studied to see the effects of the moon, which is kind of boring. Still, it's nice to think that next time you look up at the moon, there might be thousands of dehydrated moss piglets and wormicorn looking back at you. And alternatively, there's definitely some great source material for sci-fi horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
Attack of the Moss Piglets from the Moon. We'd watch it.
We'd watch it.
Yeah.
We'd live it, man. It's real. They're talking about it like it's fiction. It's real life.
Yeah, this guy's not taking it seriously enough.
There you go. And so we'll probably talk more about tardigrades on our extended report, but we're also going to be talking about a few more things like robotic jellyfish, some alien killers, and some more transhumanist news regarding Jeffrey Epstein. On our Canary Cry News Talk extended reports. You can head over to patreon.com/CCNT and jump on, support the show. We're completely listener supported, which means we can say whatever we want, baby. And you'll get some bonus episodes over there as a gift from us for supporting the show. That's patreon.com/CCNT. And if you know somebody who is not listening to Canary Cry News Talk and still getting their news from the BBC unfiltered, you need to just go ahead and rattle some cages, baby.
Call that. I will
want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
It's a yes from me, Gonzo.
Yeah. That caught me by surprise. That's a yes from me, Gonzo. Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next week. But until then, think outside the cage.
And my name is Gonzo.
And I love tambourine.